Let's say that you're currently employed and you want to apply to a new job within your current organization. What do? Hey, I'm Abby and welcome back to the Life Work Balance YouTube channel. Today I want to share with you 5 tips on how you can apply to an internal job posting. So in order to apply to an internal job, you must currently be an employee of the organization that you want to apply to. While it may seem pretty straightforward about how to apply as an internal candidate, there are a few considerations that you have to keep in mind in order to have a successful experience. But as usual, if you're looking forward to today's video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well as the bell so that you can receive life work balance advice delivered directly to you every Sunday. And if you haven't already joined me for my career coaching office hours, I am streaming live on Twitch every Tuesday. So I've linked to my Twitch channel in the description box below. So if you haven't already, please join me there. Okay, so you're currently employed by an organization, and there is now a new opportunity that you would like to be considered for within your organization. What do? It's more than just applying to a job. There are at least 5 things that you need to do to set yourself up for success, to have a good, positive experience as an internal candidate. The first thing you must do as an internal candidate is talk to your supervisor or your manager about your interest in applying to this job. The last thing you would want to happen is to not talk to them, apply to the job, and then have the potential hiring manager or someone on your potential team talk to your manager to learn a little bit about you. Your manager or supervisor will feel blindsided by having someone out of the blue let them know that you have applied to a different job in the organization. So do yourself a favor and have that conversation with your current supervisor or manager before you apply. Now, this isn't letting them know that you will be quitting your job. This is letting them know that you saw this opportunity in the organization, you are interested in learning, growing, and developing your skills, and so you think this would be a good stepping stone for you to continue to grow your career. When you give them this heads up, not only will they not be blindsided when someone just happens to ask them about you and how you might fit into this new position, but they may also have some insight for you about the job, about the people that you would be working with, and how you might be able to be more successful in the interview process. While your manager or your supervisor may be disappointed to lose you from their team, they will likely be happy for you in the long run that you're able to learn, grow, and develop overall. So while it might be a difficult and somewhat uncomfortable conversation, though you may be surprised, maybe it's not, maybe it's a great conversation, do yourself and your manager or supervisor a favor and talk to them before you apply. The second thing that you have to do as an internal candidate that might seem straightforward, but you'd be surprised, a lot of people miss this, is take the time to thoughtfully update and tailor your resume. Now, I work in an organization where there are many internal career opportunities. You would be surprised with the number of people who just submit a generic resume. You are not guaranteed the job as an internal candidate, so you need to put effort into the application process. This effort will help you demonstrate exactly why you are a perfect fit for this job. So you need to be able to demonstrate this through the effort that you put into your application materials and documents. If your application and your application materials are sloppy, you could be seen as sloppy and not as the most desirable candidate. So again, do yourself a favor and take the time to thoughtfully update your application documents. Don't just throw them together and upload them to the system. Your effort will be apparent in the review process. My third tip for you, which kind of relates to my second tip, is to fully complete your application or your candidate profile. Again, as an internal employee, it could be easy to assume that the people who you're applying with already know who you are and know your background and your history. However, this might not be the case for everyone who's on the hiring team. So take the time to fully complete your application or your candidate profile. This means spending time and effort updating all of your work experience, updating all of your education, any certifications that you might have, volunteer experience, etc. Whatever is on the application, you want to make sure that you fully complete before you submit your application. Again, the way that you complete your application will demonstrate how you will likely show up in the job that you're applying to. So if your application is incomplete, if it's missing details, or if it's sloppy, you will be seen as a candidate who could potentially be incomplete, miss major details, or be sloppy in your new position. So take the time to update all of the information on your application or your candidate profile. While this may take time, it will pay off big time if you do get the job. If you don't get the job, hey, you're an internal applicant. You won't have to update this information much in the future when there's a new job that you need to apply to. My fourth tip for you is to conduct informational interviews. Reach out to the people that you will potentially work with. This includes your potential new manager or supervisor, your colleagues and coworkers, and maybe even people who will directly report to you. Get intel, do research, network, build relationships. You want the people who you would be working with to be excited to work with you. You also want to know what you're getting yourself into. So having candid conversations with the people that you will be working with directly will give you the information that you need to know to determine if this is even going to be a good fit for you. While you gather that information, the people that you meet with will likely be impressed with the effort that you're putting into this process. And they will be excited for you to join their team if you go about it in the right way. What is the right way, you might say? Well, it's not coming in as overconfident or cocky about getting the job. You want to attack this from a place of curiosity. Ask lots of questions, listen to people, hear what they're actually saying. You will then be able to use this information not only to determine if you actually want to continue to apply for the position, but you'll be able to use this information that you've learned in your interview. You'll be able to take some of the big struggles that people might be encountering, or roadblocks, or maybe big goals that people want to accomplish, and weave those into your responses during the interview process. That will help you show up as the most prepared and qualified candidate for the position. And finally, my fifth tip for you is to prepare for your interview. I have been in many internal interviews where you can tell that the candidate is just winging it. They did not prepare or practice one bit. So do not wing this interview. Practice and maybe even have someone conduct a mock interview with you before you go into the actual interview. You'll also want to engage in some self-reflection. What have been some of your biggest challenges in your current position? What do you think the biggest challenges might be in this new position? What are some things that you really do well, or some major successes that you've encountered in your most recent position, and how will that set you up for success in this future position? Have you had any conflicts or problems that you've needed to resolve? How are you with other people on your team? Do you think you'll be able to interact well with the existing team that you'll be joining? So those are just some examples of questions that you can begin to ask yourself to have some deep self-reflection about if this is the right position for you, and also to help you prepare for the interview that is coming. You also want to prepare for this interview as if it were an interview that is not internal. So what do I mean by that? Pretend you don't know anyone who's going to be on this interview panel. Even though you might know every single person on the panel, and you may have worked with them directly in your current job, and maybe it's a promotion, and maybe the people on the panel are already your coworkers, don't go into your interview thinking that it's going to be a buddy-buddy conversation. You want to put your best foot forward. Be professional, dress professional, behave professionally. Act as if you don't know any of these people. That also goes with how you're going to answer your interview questions. In internal interviews, it's really easy to actually not give enough information in your answers because you make assumptions about what the people in the interview know or don't know about you. Make the assumption that no one in the interview knows anything about you. You'll want to give thorough, thoughtful responses to each of the interview questions. And again, pretend like everyone in the interview room does not know who you are. Being thorough and thoughtful in your responses and acting as if no one knows who you are will help show the interviewers how you are the best candidate for the position, because you will not leave out pertinent information. You will show them how you are the most well-rounded, best fit for this position. And remember, after your interview, send a thank you note to every person who was a part of your interview. Now, this could be a thank you email, this could be a thank you message in Teams or Slack or whatever instant messaging system you might be using, or it could be a handwritten note that you personally deliver to their office or mail to their home. Just remember to thank the interviewers for their time, for the opportunity, and maybe even give some additional follow-up information or ask follow-up questions. As an internal candidate, you have a lot more in-depth access to the interviewers on the hiring team. So make sure you're really tailoring your thank yous to the people that have interviewed you. You want to make a good, positive, lasting impression after your interview, and a thank you note is the best way to do that. So hopefully these 5 tips will help you prepare to apply to an internal job. If you are not applying to an internal job and you're just looking for a job to begin with, then this video will hopefully still help you with that. These tips, while it is tailored to internal candidates, still apply to all types of job interviews, whether it's an internal interview or an external interview. So if you've got any additional comments, questions, thoughts, or ideas, please put them in the comments box below. I read all of the comments that come through and I respond to them individually. So please, again, if you have any questions, comments, thoughts, or ideas, put them in the comments box below and I will get back to you as quickly as I am able. And if you haven't already, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well as the bell so that you can receive life work balance advice delivered directly to you every Sunday. Thanks, and I'll see you next week.